Hi everyone! Let me quickly check if I'm actually live. Waiting for YouTube to catch up. And yeah, I think we're good. I think I should be live. Okay, so hi everyone! Welcome to another Pinkfresh Studio YouTube live session. And today I've got a fun interactive pocket card planned to create with one of the new products from the Joy for Blooms release. And I'll be using the Steeped in Kindness product suite along with some other Pinkfresh Studio goodies. So yeah, I already posted a little sneak peek of the products and the color scheme that I was planning on using. So let me know if you saw that and let me know what you thought about it. And also let me know if sound and video are good, because I'm trying out a new setup and it's really shaky right now and I don't know why. So I hope that I will manage it. Okay, so a few things to get out of the way first. If you've been here before in one of our YouTube lives, you already know the drill, but for all of those who maybe are joining for the first time, we are giving away 4 $50 gift cards in total. 2 of these for the people in the live chat. And all you have to do to be entered to win one of those is be active in the chat. So every time you leave a comment in the chat, that's another entry for one of the $50 gift cards. Also, let us know if you give this video a thumbs up. Let us know when you gave it a follow, or our channel a follow, when you shared the video, and so on and so forth. And of course, we could not forget about all those of you who can't join us live. So for everyone watching the replay, all you have to do to be entered to win 2 more of the $50 gift cards is just leave us a comment below, and then we will draw 2 winners from those comments as well. Now, behind the Pinkfresh Studio name today is Jody. Hi, Jody. And she will be helping out with any questions that you have if I don't catch them in the chat. So she can help me answer those. And yeah, so let me flip my camera in a second. I'm just trying to figure out why it's so shaky right now, because it didn't used to be like this, or not as bad, I think. And let me check. Okay, so trying to figure out my camera position and everything. Okay. All right, so here you can see some of the things that I've pulled out for today. Let me check if I'm still in frame. As I said, I'm trying out a new setup and still a learning curve. So as I said, I'm using the Steeped in Kindness product suite, along with some other things. I pulled out some sort of essential dies or press plates that I might use. I'm not sure yet, but I just thought I would, grab a few and then see what we can do with this. Hold on, let me move my windows around so that I can actually also see the chat in case there are any questions. Okay, and I've already prepared a few things, because the idea I have in mind, and it's very rare that I actually have an idea in mind before I start, does require a little bit of work, and I'm not sure I would get everything done in an hour. So I wanted to make sure that, I get this thing finished. So I did prep a few things. So for one thing, I already used the Steeped in Kindness press plate to hot foil the floral cluster, the little bird, and 2 sentiments. One of those 2 I will use. I'm not sure which one yet. And I used just some regular silver glimmer foil. Usually I reach for gold, but this time I thought, I would do something different. And you can already see the beautiful foiling on here. And I already foiled and ink blended one set because I will need two, and I just wouldn't have enough time to ink blend two of those in 1 hour and get all of the other things done as well. And I also die cut one of the tea kettles already, just so I can stack it up. And the same for the sentiments. I already die cut two of each, so I can create a little sentiment stack for a bit more dimension. And yeah, will gold embossing work as well? Of course, you know, you could use gold foil, that you could use any color of foil that you want. But you could also, of course, if you don't have the press plate or don't have a hot foiling machine, you could definitely use the coordinating stamp set and just stamp and heat emboss the image, and you would get a very similar look. I just really like hot foiling. Whenever we have a press plate along with the stamp, I tend to use the press plate just because I really, really love the look of foil. Okay, so let's get started. I'm gonna ink blend or color in this image as well because I want two of them. And I'm gonna show you how the stencils in this set work, because they are a little bit different. Let me just move some things around. Okay, so and you might have already seen the color scheme that I was sort of planning on using, also a bit different for me, because I usually reach for pinks and greens and things like that. I might not use all of them. These are just ones that I pulled out. So I have some yellow, some orange, a little bit of purple, and then also blue. Okay. And I'm trying to get this to work. I'm sorry about the glare, but I think as soon as I will put the stencils down, it shouldn't be a problem. So let me stick that down. And I've got some questions about these magnets and the mat that I'm using the last time. So what I'm using here to attach to adhere my panel and then to hold down the stencils is actually, I think it's called the foil quill magnetic mat or something like that, by We're Memory Keepers. And it's actually, the idea is that you would use it with the foil quill with your electronic die cutting machine. And since I don't have any sort of grip mat or anything like that, this was just something that I had on hand, and it turned out working great. So far I didn't really feel like I need anything else. Just checking the comments real quick. Okay, so I really like the little bird in this set. I think it adds just a little bit of whimsy to this already whimsical set, but I think the bird is just a nice touch. And I already have one in orange. So I think I'm going to do a different color, and then I can see which one I will use, or if maybe I will use both. So maybe I'm going to do a purple bird, and hold on. Okay, I just need a little bit of scrap paper. So I'm gonna do purple for the bird, and then I have two different ones, and I can see which one I like best. And I'm actually just gonna use the remaining ink that is on my blending brush here. I used it with the Candy Violet and the Wisteria before, so whatever's still on there, that's what this bird is gonna be. It's mostly Candy Violet. And I will just add a little bit more of the Candy Violet just to its tail. Is it a tail with a bird? I don't know. Okay. I'm still trying to get the hang of this new setup. I'm still not completely, you know, still don't have it completely down. That's why I'm sort of moving things around a little bit. And now for the floral cluster, I'm trying to do it differently than the first one I had, just so that I have different options. So let's do yellow this time. And I'm just going to use the sweet mustard and a 1/2 inch blending brush here. And let me see if I can move my camera in just a little bit. So that's a little bit closer. And I will just ink blend around edges, around the outside, so I have a little bit of white in the center. And then just gonna use this brush here that had some orange on it. Again, I'm not gonna put any new ink on it. I'm just gonna, you know, go around the edges again with whatever is still left on that brush, because I just want a little bit more of a deeper shade without adding a new color in itself. And you can see here, so for the tea kettle, you might wonder how we are going to do the tea kettle, because there's no stamp or press plate for it, but you will see in a second. So there's actually part of the stencil that you can use to create the tea kettle. You could do it in the same, like in one step, if you had a piece of paper that's big enough, but since I put something else on here and it's a bit too small, I will just have to do this separately, but it's really quick, so we will be fine. Okay. So yeah, if I miss any comments, I'm really sorry about that. As I said, I'm still getting the hang of this new setup, and I have to get used to it. Okay, so let's do some purples as well for the flowers. So I'm using soft lilac. And again, 1/2 inch blending brush. And I'm just trying to ink blend one side a little bit deeper and then fade it out. You could go around the edges, you could do it like this. I just like when there's a bit of variation in like the depth of color, so it gives it a little bit more dimension and it's not as flat. And you could, for the smaller ones, you could also use a 1/4 inch blending brush, so you can have a bit more control. Okay. And now let's do, I think I can do an orange flower, so a bit of a deeper orange, so I'm using clementine here for this one. And this is also great if you don't want to use too many different colors. You can just use one, like let's say you want to use purple and you want to have different, like a deeper purple or a darker part of the flower. Just use the same ink pad and just layer it on one part and then fade it out towards the other one. That way you don't need 2 or 3 different kinds of purples or oranges or whatever you're using. And there's also detail layered to the bird. You don't have to use every single part of the stencil if you don't want to. That's totally fine. So let's do some more yellow here. little bit softer because I already have a yellow flower here, so I don't want it to be the exact same color. But I don't want to bring in a new color. I want to stay with these sort of yellow, orange, purple, and then this blue. Okay. And I will clean my stencil after the live a bit more thoroughly. I'm just wiping it off just so that I don't accidentally get any ink somewhere where I don't want it. So yeah, I have to agree. I personally like the magnets better. Well, I can't really say I like it better than the grip mat just because I haven't used the grip mat before. But so far, I'm happy with how the magnets work. So I don't feel like right now I need to try a grip mat. I think there's probably, you know, pros and cons for both of them. Okay. So now on my first cluster, I used blue for all of those leaves. So I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I already used Ocean Breeze on the stems, so I'm gonna switch it up and use Ocean Breeze a little bit more for the larger leaves now, and then keep the darker blue for the stems, for example, just so that it doesn't look exactly the same. So right now, no, we don't have a shop in the EU. We do have, you know, there are online shops, European online shops that carry Pinkfresh Studio, and if you go to our website, you can check out the store finder to see, you know, to maybe find some online shops or even brick and mortar stores that carry Pinkfresh Studio. Not every single shop that carries Pinkfresh Studio is on there, because the shop has to send us their information so we can add them. But it might be a good place to check if you are wondering where you can get your hands on some Pinkfresh Studio goodies if you are not in the US. Or even if you are in the US, you can of course also check out the store finder. Now I'm using Sapphire for the smaller parts here. And then just a little bit down here, again for some variation. And so this stencil, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So the first two stencils of the Steeped in Kindness stencil set have two different parts. So first stencil has one half that is for the bird and the flower, and the second half is for the tea kettle. Stencil number 2, same thing. One half is for details for the bird and the flowers, and the other half is for the tea kettle. And then stencil number 3 and 4 are only for this part here. So the tea kettle only consists of 2 layers, and then the rest is all for the floral cluster with the bird, I should say. Okay, trying not to push any ink pads off this time. If you were here last time when I did the sneak peek live with Isha, I accidentally pushed off my black ink pad onto the floor. So yeah, that was fun. Trying to avoid doing that this time. Okay, so let's see what we can do with the leaves to sort of switch it up. I don't want to have the same sort of colors right next to each other everywhere. So up here I used the Sapphire for the floral parts, for these little, I don't know, buds or whatever you would call it. And then I'm going to use Ocean Breeze for the leaves that I already used on a different floral cluster, so I'm just repeating the same color. I'm trying to, you know, don't bring in too many different colors. Of course, you could go completely crazy and bring in lots and lots of colors and do sort of a rainbow, but yeah. Sue, yes, I will list the inks I used. I think I already... No, I think I only listed the products that I was going to use so far in the video description, but I will add the links after the YouTube live, because before I just came up with the color scheme like, I don't know, 3 hours ago. So let's see what we can do for the rest of the leaves. And I think I'm actually going to bring in gray, because I used gray for the... Where is it? Here. I used gray for the stems here. So I think just to repeat it, I'm going to use it on just some of the leaves here. Yeah, so Jody and I, we have a little inside joke that, yeah, she calls me a creative rebel. I don't even know how it happened, how we came up with it, or she came up with it. But yeah, sometimes I just like to do things a little bit differently and use things differently. So I'm gonna do this 2 smaller ones down here. And now if this wasn't live, if I had, you know, all the time in the world, I would probably obsess over the colors a little bit more and sort of go in with a deeper shade of gray again, just for some highlights. I'm not going to do that here now, just because, you know, I want to get this card done. Oh, forgot one part. While, you know, while it still looks pretty, but at the same time, I don't want you to have to watch me ink blend for an hour. And I realized that I just went over one of the leaves by accident. That was already gray. But you know what? It is what it is, and in the end, you're probably not even going to be able to tell. Ferugina, I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly. Yes, of course. Inna, one of our designers, is from Latvia. I think. Was it Latvia? Yeah, I think it was Latvia. Okay, so last stencil number 4. And first you have the upper half is for the stems. Trying to get this lined up without putting my head right in front of the camera. And to be honest, I feel like the hot foiling makes it really easy to line things up, because for some reason I can, at least for me, I can see it a lot better when it's hot foiled than when it's stamped. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm just gonna, for the stems, I'm just gonna use some brushes that I have lying around here and use whatever ink there's left on them. So some blue, and again a little bit of gray. The gray one I will have to ink up again. Sorry, that was Misty Coast. And I am gonna do just a little bit more on the details of the leaves. Let me grab a darker gray rocky slope just on the gray leaves. I don't feel like I need any more detail on the blue leaves because they're already pretty dark. Okay. And now the last part of this stencil is just the inner pieces, the centers of the flowers, and then a little beak and the little feet of the bird. So for the purple, I'm just gonna go in with the same color, Candy Violet, but just, you know, with a heavy hand so that it's a deeper tone. And same for the orange, clementine. Although for this one, so this flower was yellow, so I'm just going to do orange for those. And of course, the little beak. And that's it. That is all of the layers to this. I'm just going to hold it up close. And keep in mind, these colors will soften a little bit. They will not stay as bright as they are right now, because these are dye inks, so they dye the paper. And yeah. Just checking the comments real quick. Okay, I hope I didn't miss any questions. Oh, by the way, one thing that I wanted to mention that would make it so much easier for me if you have a question for me to see it is if you just put the word question in caps and capital letters at the beginning of your comment, and then, you know, write whatever question you have in regular, not capital, all the way, not screaming at me. But that way I can catch it a little bit quicker when I just glance at the chat. So that would be great. So we still need a tea kettle. And while I was playing around before, I tried something and I really want to show you. Just a little trick that, you know, it's not something that I came up with. I'm sure people have done it before, but since I'm relatively new to card making, I don't know all of the techniques yet. So that was something that I just discovered sort of by myself. Again, I'm sure people already did it. So this is stencil number 1. So I'm going to use it for the main part of the tea kettle. And let's see. Let's see what color tea kettle we're going to do. I already did one in purple when I was playing around. So again, I will do a different color just so that I have options. I'm not going to do blue because we have lots of blue in the leaves already. So I feel like if we already also did a blue tea kettle, it would just be too much. So okay. So what are we going to do? Yellow or orange? Because I don't want to bring in a new color. I don't want to do pink or anything, because then I feel like I need pink, for example, in something else too. Although, of course, the pink tea kettle is pretty, but I don't like having a color just once on my project. Orangey yellow combo. Yellow. Actually, let's do orangey yellow, because what I was talking about before, what I sort of found out by when I was playing around, works really well with yellow and orange. So let's do it. Let's do lemon whip first. And I'm using a 1-inch blending brush for this. And just sort of going all over the stencil. But I will try to, again, have sort of a gradient. Do a little bit of a deeper blend on the bottom. And then sort of fade it out towards the top. And then for the handle, I will do a deep blend too. And with the 1-inch blending brush, it's just so much quicker. I think right now they are out of stock again. I think they are sold out again. But I'm pretty sure, and Jody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that we already reordered them, because they are just magic, like Jennifer McGuire likes to say. Okay, so So when I was playing around with this, I thought that I would like to have some sort of detail on the kettle, like a floral pattern or something, but I didn't want to, like, I can't draw by hand. I'm not good at it. So I tried to find a way to do that, and I thought, why not put another stencil on top of this one stencil here. And I went through all of my stencils that I had, and I found this one. This is the geometric tile stencil set. I think it's not linked in the video description just yet, because again, I just sort of came up with this right before the live. So yeah, the 1-inch blending brushes will be back in a few weeks. Exactly. Okay, so what I thought I would do is just place this second stencil with this pattern on top of my first stencil, and then I am actually going to bring in a new orange, the peach fuzz, because I don't want it to be too bright. So I'm again with a 1-inch blending brush. You could use a 1/2 inch, oops, and you should probably hold it down better than I just did. It would help if I just put the whole magnet on top of it. Okay. So I'm gonna go over this with another color. You could use the same color just with a heavy hand that you already used for the kettle, or you could use a color from the same sort of family. So let's say you used Lemon Whip for the first layer, you could use Sunshine for the second. And I'm just trying to get into all of those little nooks and crannies here. I'm not going to do the handle, I just want it on the sort of body of the tea kettle, or whatever you would call it. And again, I'm perfectly sure that this has been done before. So this is what it looks like, and I think it's a really cool sort of effect. You can see here that here is probably where I accidentally moved my stencil. You have some lines here where there weren't any before, but I'm fine with this. This is not supposed to be perfect. Hold on. We still need our second stencil for the tea kettle. So let me grab stencil number 2 and the lower half of it, and you can just line this up. So if you do it in the same step as the bird, it will be really easy to line up just because you have the birds and the flowers as a guide. But if you do the tea kettle on its own, you can still see like little marks here that help you line it up. And even if you don't get it done perfectly, the die, I will show you in a second, but the die gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So for the handle, I'm just going to use the light gray Misty Coast again. And we will see. So I already, as I said, tried it out before. So this was the purple version. And I think I like that one a little bit better. I think with the yellow, I should have stayed with yellow on yellow. But we will see. When we come to actually putting the whole thing together, maybe the yellow works. And if not, I can keep it for a different project. Okay, so here you can see that we now have the handles and everything added. And it doesn't look like much before it's die cut, I have to admit. But once you die cut it, you can really tell, like, it really gets some shape. So you can see here that the die cut version has, this part here is a lot thinner and this one is too. So you get wiggle room. If you don't line up your stencil and your your stencils perfectly, see how much will be cut off. So don't worry about it. Okay, so I think I'm done with the stenciling part. So let me just move some things off my desk here. Before I push off any more ink pads and stain my floor. Okay. All right. So now we can die cut all of those parts using the coordinating dies. And what I really like about these is that, so you get one die for the tea kettle, which is great because then you can, as like I just did, you can ink blend this separately. Maybe if sometimes you don't want a tea kettle or you want more of the floral clusters but only need one tea kettle. And then you get the dies for almost all of the sentiments. Same with the press plates. I think the only sentiments that there's not a die or press plate for is Let's Catch Up Soon and A Little Joy to Brighten Your Day. But all the other ones have a coordinating press plate and die, which I love. So let's cut out all of these pieces. And then the die for the floral cluster, you can see it right here, adds these little edged lines, and I think they add so much detail, and you will see it once it's die cut. So question, any chance you'll make smaller versions of the magic brushes? What we already have. So the half we have the magic brushes, well, they are not officially called magic brushes, but we have 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and 1 inch blending brushes. I'm not sure if we would ever do smaller than 1/4 inch, just because that's already really small, and I'm not sure if, you know, we would need a smaller one. I agree, Audrey. I love that we have dies for the sentiments, or at least for most of the sentiments, usually the ones that have some sort of scripty part. And I like that they also cut out like the inner pieces when there's like space between some words, because this makes them so much more delicate and intricate. So hold on, let me show you. So this is the die cut piece, and you can see here, these lines here, they were edged by the die. They are not stenciled or anything. And I really like how that turned out. And then we have the 2 sentiments. We have tea and hugs. So this stem or this product suite is really fun for tea lovers, because there are some tea themed sentiments as well, not just the tea kettle. So You're My Cup of Tea, Tea and Hugs. I think another one is You Are Steeped in Kindness, and You're My Cup of Tea. I think those are the sentiments that revolve around tea. Now, I'm not too much of a tea drinker, so I'm still waiting for a coffee-themed product suite. Hint, hint, Kinnery, please pick that up. And then finally the tea kettle. Sorry, you can't really see what I'm doing here, I just realized. So you can see, I showed you before that there is some wiggle room with the die for the tea kettle, so I'm not too fussed about it. Okay, let's see. So here you can see. So I think I prefer the purple one But, you know, I can, as I said, always use this for a different project, or if I really don't like it at all and I know I won't use it, I will just use it as a sort of a stacking layer, so it doesn't go to waste. Okay. Now, not a tea drinker, just teapot collector, Beth. That's also nice. Okay, so my idea was, I thought with this tea set, I thought, why not create something like a pocket card that could actually hold like a little tea bag, and that you could send with this card, because I feel like it's only fitting that you would send a tea lover sort of a tea to have as well. So what I thought I would do is, I already cut down 2 panels to A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5 inches. And then I also used the new double stitch rectangles dies. The second largest one I already used to cut out just a white panel. This will be the panel that I am planning to slide inside and to attach my tea. Is it a tea bag? Yeah, I think it's a tea bag. Now, to add a little bit of something to this, so it isn't just plain, I thought, why not use either a press plate or maybe like a cover plate die to add some texture. And I think both of these, for some reason, I don't know why, but I feel like they both go really well with this sort of tea theme, maybe sort of like a tablecloth look. So this one is, I'm not sure if I have linked them in the description already. I think this one is linked, not sure about this one. So this cover plate die is the diagonal stitched plaid. Or is it plaid or is it plaid? I don't know. So I think I'm just gonna use, let's see, which one do I like more? I don't want to do any more hot foiling right now, just because for one thing it takes some time, and it also we also already have the hot foiling in our ink blended parts, and I don't want to overdo it. I feel like this one looks even nicer. So this is a press plate. So you can not only hot foil with the press plate, you can also, as the name suggests, press, like create a letterpress effect with it, with the Better Press machine by Spellbinders. And this is the Stippled Plaid. Is it plaid or plaid? I still don't know. Press plate from last month's release, from the Pure Joy release. So it's also fairly new. Question: may I use a press plate in an M-press? Maybe someone from the chat can answer that, because to be honest, I don't know. I don't have that machine and I don't want to give you any wrong information. So yeah, maybe someone from the chat can chime in. So I think I'm just gonna do the press plate, but without any ink. I just want texture. I don't want any more color, because I think that we're already pretty colorful and, you know. So I just want texture, and that's also why I'm not going to adhere this panel to this part of the press plate, Better Press, because I just wanted to push down for some dimension, or texture, I should say. So and then I'm just gonna pull this, or send this through. So people are saying you cannot use the press plate in an M-press. But again, you know, just, I have no clue about the M-press, so let's see. It's really, I'm not even sure you can see it on camera. It's really light because I didn't use any color. I think you can slightly see. My lighting doesn't help. You could also use this with the correct sandwich to sort of dry emboss it with your cutting machine, but right now I don't know where my, like the different parts of my sandwich are to create this sort of dry embossing sandwich. So I'm just gonna do this sort of no color letterpress technique. And hold on, I need some really thin double-sided adhesive. So if I had more time, or if I was doing this, you know, off camera, I would probably use my sewing machine and sew those two pieces together to create a pocket. But, you know, I can't do that right now, so gluing them together will have to do. And I'm just gonna use this very thin double-sided adhesive on 3 sides to create my pocket. Remember not to close like all the sides, because we need an opening where we can slide our card with the tea bag in. So, and I only used the Better Press plate on one of the panels, the one that I want to have at the front. You could of course do it on both panels, but right now, just for time's sake, I'm just gonna do one. Okay, so now here's our opening. And let's see if I need to cut this down further. I'm not sure if it's too wide. Hold on. It just works, but I think I will do it smaller because we also need to account for the thickness of the tea bag. Did I miss a question? How long have you been making cards? You had stated you were newish. Yes, I am new-ish. Not even sure if ish is the right word. New. I've been a scrapbooker I started scrapbooking in 2013, and I did make the occasional card here or there, but I never considered myself a card maker. And then I really started getting into card making at the beginning of this year. So, like full-on card maker, as in more than just the occasional birthday card or whatever I had to make, for not even 3 months now. Okay, so this is now the 3rd largest double-stitched rectangle die that I used. So this one slides in much easier and doesn't get caught on the sides. Thank you. I transitioned well, yes. Well, you know, there's lots of things, of course, that are sort of similar, or that you learn that you can use for both of these hobbies, but yeah, getting into card making was a lot of fun, definitely. So you can just, so this is what I thought, you know, you could put a message on the back of this. You could cut out a second one and adhere it to the back if you want to have the, like, let's say, correct stitching showing. But to be honest, I don't think that anyone will notice that much. So I'm just gonna do it like this. You could just adhere it with a little bit of, like, just some repositionable adhesive or something, or a piece of washi tape. I think, hold on. Of course, I don't have any cutting mat here, so we will improvise. How will we improvise? Okay, just some folded up scrap paper. Not sure if this idea will work out. So I think what I'm trying to do is sort of cut some slits in here that I could put my tea bag in. Again, no idea if this works out. If it doesn't, you could just, as I said, use glue dots or repositionable adhesive. So there we are. Okay. I'm very organized. In fact, I'm not. I think organized is not the word that I would use to describe myself. But if that's what, you know, the impression that you get, I'm good with that. Okay. Okay. So what I thought, because I don't want this, so what can we do to be able to pull this out without it getting, you know, lost in there and, you know, you having to fish for it? So what we will do is find some adhesive, first of all, and then just adhere this large floral cluster at the top. I'm not going to do foam adhesive here, although I usually really like dimension and foam adhesive, but I don't want this to be any more dimensional. So I'm just going to stick this in here. And now you can see that there's something sticking out. Obviously, this doesn't fit in a regular A2 envelope, but if it's something that you hand deliver or put in a package, let's say you send out together with a care package, or you just use a larger envelope, then you are fine. Okay, as I said, I think I'm gonna do the purple teapot, and then we can use the rest of the floral die cuts that we did to embellish the front of this sort of little bag. Okay, I'm first gonna stack up the teapots. Oh yes, glue dots would definitely be perfect for adhering this tea bag to the inside. Absolutely. So I just want to stack this up once at least, because you can see that these parts here are very delicate, and I just wanted to have a little bit more of stability. And you know, there's so much you could do with this pocket. Again, if I had more than just an hour, I would probably do lots more on this, like letterpress with color, or even a bit of hot foiling, add a label, whatever, you know, or a window. There's so many things you could do, but just not too many that you can do in an hour. So I'm just trying to figure out a placement. And let's see, tea, you're my cup of tea, or tea and hugs. I really like the tea and hugs. And this is what I meant with sort of delicate, because you get the cut of the die is really up close to the sentiment, and I really like that. So you don't have just this sort of square or circle or something. Question, do you still scrapbook? Right now, not really, to be honest, just because I don't have the time to do both, because I really want to get into card making more, and I want to learn a lot more, and of course I also want to play with all of the pretty new products from Pinkfresh Studio. So right now I don't scrapbook, but it's not that I quit scrapbooking. It's just on hold. And I'm pretty sure that I will not finish on time. So I'm sure we will go, you know, maybe just 3-4 minutes over. But I definitely want to finish this card. So I stacked it up 3 times just to give it a little bit more dimension. And because you can see how thin these lines are, there's no way I would be able to cut down foam adhesive this thin. For larger sentiments or pieces, you could still use foam adhesive. Just checking the comments real quick. Okay, I think I didn't miss a question. If I did, and if I haven't answered your question yet, or Jody, you know, couldn't help out, then please just ask again. Okay, so I'm not going to use the purple bird because, as you can see, we have the purple tea kettle, so it doesn't really stand out, but we can keep that for a different project. But I will use the orange one, so that's a nice repetition of this, the orange in the flowers, and then a nice contrast with the purple kettle. So I think I'm just going to place this one, you know, smack dab in the middle. And I used just this repositionable adhesive so I can tuck the flower underneath because I really like this. It adds to the dimension. I'm not going to use foam adhesive behind the tea kettle just because we already have so much dimension from the tea bag inside. So I will just use, you know, regular adhesive. And then for the florals, I'm making sure that I don't cover the whole thing because some of it will stick out. So, like so. Julie, I agree. The fonts for the sentiments, and especially I think in this release, are really, really pretty. I absolutely love the scripty fonts that are in the Pinkfresh Studio sets. So I'm going to put the tea and hugs in a way that it overlaps the kettle, because the purple behind it will make it stand out a little bit more. And again, if you, I mean, obviously this set is perfect for a tea lover, but just for the florals and the little bird alone, I think this set is a must-have. Even if you are not planning on using the tea kettle or the tea themed sentiments, you can still get a lot of use out of this set. So I can't do no foam adhesive, so there will be at least some foam adhesive behind this floral cluster. And I'm going to put this down here just so that it curves a little bit around this part of the tea kettle and kind of follows the movement of it. And then a little birdie will be perched on top of the handle. You could also do it down here, but I think that here it stands out a little bit more. So, almost done. We have one floral cluster left. You could put this down here as well, or you could put it on the inside like so. Let's do it. So I'm just adding adhesive on the lower half and keeping it like this. It is not, the adhesive doesn't cover the tea bag, so you can still pull out the tea bag without it ripping or anything. But like this. And now I think just a few little clear drops or something. Oops, sorry. And this set is so pretty. One of my favorite. This is the Dewdrops Iridescent, and it is the perfect match for these colors, for example. So I think I'm pretty good on time. I think that's the only thing I'm going to add. And you could, I already also grabbed this part, this set here, the standalone cuts basic label frames, because I thought I might use one of the labels as well. You could put one of the labels on the back, for example, sort of half of the label to add some text there. And I think this one, the decorative circles, this is from the January Beautiful Life release, and it sort of reminds me of a doily, which again I think would go with the sort of tea theme and kind of tablecloth look. So I thought this would also be a great addition, maybe behind a tea kettle or something. I didn't use it today, but I just wanted to show you, just in case, you know, you feel like you have this and you didn't think of using it together. Okay, so just a few of those dewdrops and then we are done. And I'm pretty sure that Jody is going to pick a winner in a second. So drum roll. Now I am okay with adding some gems here because they are not more dimensional than a tea bag, so it's fine. Just adding a few to the flower centers, not to all of them, just a few. So congratulations, Laurie, Saenz, and Cathy Fuller. You are today's $50 gift card winners. And all you have to do is email customer service at pinkfreshstudio.com to claim your prize. And then give Jody, 2 to 3 days to get back to you, although she always gets back to you quicker. And then you will get your gift cards and you can have fun shopping. So almost done. I want a tiny one. Okay. So I think that's it. I might add 1 or 2 more after the live, but I don't. You get the gist. Okay, great. Anyway. Okay, so this is the finished pocket card. I'm not going to slide it in right now because this one hasn't dried yet and I don't want to smear my little dewdrop all over this card. But this one we can tuck in and then it sticks out like so and we can pull it out. And on the back we could add a message. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me flip my camera. Okay. So, thank you everyone for joining me today. Oh, Jody just posted, speaking of winners, the Blog Hop winners are posted on the giveaway page. And she recognizes a couple of names of the people who are in the chat. So make sure that you hop on over after the live is done so that you can check if you won something in the Blog Hop or Instagram Hop. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed this. And Again, if you are watching the replay, make sure that you leave a comment below to be entered to win one of two $50 gift cards. And if you enjoyed this, I would love it if you give it a thumbs up. And if you don't already, that you subscribe to our channel. And thank you, Jody. And yeah, next week it's going to be Carissa with you again with some beautiful inspiration with this new Joyful Blooms release. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of the week, everyone. Take care. Bye.